Hey, what's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about 10.5. So this is something that you already went over, but I did want to just go over some of the questions from this since you already did it, and I want to make sure you're all on the same page with me. This is what your final quiz is going to be on, entirely on 10.5, since 10.1 to 10.4 was your first quiz. So this is it. We'll be taking this on Thursday. So assuming you understand everything in this video, you should do fine on Thursday. If not, please reach out to me. And I sent out two alternative study sessions today, and I'm happy to also be flexible and find some time that works for you guys. Okay, so let's get into it. So first off, 10.5 is all about it's all about trying to figure out similar and congruent polygons. Similar and congruent. So, the first thing that we really look at is understanding corresponding sides and corresponding angles, and that's really all you're going to need to worry about for the final as well. So let's get started. So the first one I want to take a look at is number 3. So here I decided to draw the polygons. I'm on page 539, by the way. So I've decided to draw the polygons, but you get the idea. It's the same letters and the same idea. So really quickly, just want to review that these little lines here, this little slash, that means that it is congruent to the other lines, other sides that only have one slash. This one has 2 slashes, and this one has 2 slashes, which means that this one is congruent, and that one is congruent. So all of them are congruent, in fact. Okay, so number 3 actually asks, it says, name the corresponding sides and the corresponding angles of the congruent polygons. Okay, so we're going to need to go through a series of sides and then angles. Okay. So let's start with the angles first. That's just kind of the easiest. So this angle here is angle K, and angle K is equal to angle Q. You can kind of imagine if you were to take this entire shape here and put it over on top of this shape, they would perfectly line up. So angle K and angle Q. Next is angle L and angle R. There we have angle M and angle S. And then lastly, angle N and angle T. Okay, so there you have it. Those are all the angles. I want to point out one thing, that I wrote them all in the same columns. So if this is shape A and this is polygon B or shape B, all of shape A is right here and all of shape B is right here. It's just a good way to keep your work organized. Okay, let's do the sides. So the first side I can see is from here to here, K to L. So side K to L, and you just draw a line over it. And side K to L is equal with side, hopefully you see, it's with side Q to R. Next, I'm just changing color to help you kind of see. Next we have side L to M, and then side S to R. Wait a minute, I did something wrong. Side L to M and side S to R. That's right. There we go. Then we have side N to M and side T to S. I'll make those green. N to M, T to S. Okay, and then lastly we have side N to K and then T to Q. N to K and T to Q. So there you go. I have these are all the congruent sides and congruent angles. Remembering congruent means the same when we're talking in geometry. Okay, so that's the first problem. And then the second part of this asks that there are some unknown measures. So I actually have a couple of measurements here. So this one here is 4 meters. and then the rest of these are question marks. Well, it's actually pretty easy to figure out. If side LM, which is what right here, if side LM equals 4 meters, then guess what? Side SR also equals 4 meters. And so does side QT, and then so does side KN. And then when it comes to the other angles, side TS is 3 meters. And so that means all the other congruent sides are the same. 3 meters, 3 meters, 3 meters. Okay, so for number 3, I don't know any of the angles, so I don't have to solve unknown angles, but I did solve the unknown sides. Let's keep going. So now we have number 4. I took a picture of it. It's easier to look at it that way. In number 4, when you kind of consider number 4, the same question, corresponding sides and corresponding angles. So how do we do it? Which side which? Sides and angles. Okay, cool. So sides over here, angles over here. And then my unknown angles are angle H, angle J, and angle K. So this is where, if you figure out the corresponding angles, same thing as with the sides, you'll see that's the exact same measurement. So let's do it. So first off, corresponding side, let's do the angles first. So this is tricky because if you kind of consider this first one as A and the second one as B, I don't know if you can see it, but A kind of like flips direction, if that makes sense. If, if I was saying if it's, the longer side is right here, and the longer side on this one is right here. So it's kind of it's a mirror image of each other. So you kind of have to use your observational skills to see that, and then you can start pointing out congruent angles. So the first one is angle F is congruent with angle J, then angle H is congruent with angle L, and angle G is congruent with angle K. Great, so now we can actually use this information to solve for the missing angles. So the first one I need to know is angle J. There's angle J. Angle J is congruent with angle F. Angle F is 45 degrees. So angle J is also 45 degrees. Next I need to figure out what angle K is. Angle K is the same as angle G. Angle G is 75 degrees, so angle K is 75 degrees. And then the last one is angle J. And angle J, I already did that one. Last one is angle H. Angle H. And angle H is the same as angle L. And you can see them right there. And so if angle L is 60 degrees, that means that H is also 60 degrees. All right, and I'm going to wrap it up just by pointing out what my congruent sides are. So my first congruent side is G to F, or F to G, which is congruent with the outside one here, J to K. Here I have F to H and J to L. And then lastly is G to H and L to K. Okay, so there you have it. That's number 4. Okay, so the first part of the quiz that's on Thursday is just going to be questions just like that. Like this one where you have to figure out congruent angles and sides, and then you'll have to figure out some missing angles as well. Same thing here. Just figure out your missing angles and sides. Congruent angles and sides, and then figuring out your missing sides. Okay, so now the third one you're going to have to do, third and fourth problem you're going to have to do, is figuring out what these things are, but I'm not going to give you the shapes to look at. And so I kind of want to walk through this one. There'll be 2 problems like this. So first off, I want to point out that, let's get this out of the way. It says, given triangle UVW is congruent to triangle XYZ, So hopefully this makes sense to you. When you think of triangle UVW and triangle XYZ, hopefully in your mind you're thinking, oh, I have a triangle that's UVW and triangle XYZ. And so the order that I put these in is important. It doesn't matter which way you go, but they need to be the same when you do that, if it makes sense. So I put this one first, this one second, and this one third. I went around clockwise. So on the second triangle, I have to do the same. I have to use this one first, this one second, and this one third. And the reason you have to do that is because you can see that they're corresponding up here too. This is 1, 2, and 3. This is 1, 2, and 3. So they actually correspond just as well. Okay. Next thing is figuring out some of the different parts. So the first one is number 5. Number 5 says, what is angle X? What does angle X correspond with? Angle X corresponds with angle U. They're right there. Both are number 1. Number 6. Number 6 is angle, and this is where it gets tricky, ZYX. Just think of it like connect the dots. I'll do it in red. Where's ZYX? It's right here. ZYX. Okay, well, if I start at W, V, and go to U, then it looks like the exact same shape. So angle W, V, U. Number 7, I've got side XZ. Side XZ. Let's see, I'll do it in green. Oh, there's side XZ. So I'll make side, I got to go in the right order, XZ, so 1 to 3. So I'll go 1 to 3 here. So side UW. And the last one's number 8. Number 8 asks, what is side ZY congruent with? Well, side ZY, where's ZY? Here's Z to Y, so W to V. So that's going to be the second set of questions. So you have 2 questions where you're given the shapes and you have to find the unknown or the missing sides or angles. And then you'll have 2 questions where I'm only going to give you just the abbreviation. And then ask you for things, ask you for the different parts and tell me what they're corresponding with. Okay, so final quiz. Again, 4 questions total. 2 questions where you name the corresponding angles and sides of 2 congruent polygons. And then lastly, you're only going to be given the abbreviation and you have to figure out missing sides and missing angles, corresponding missing sides and missing angles. You guys, I sure hope that this has been helpful to you. Again, I will be available to talk about this even further. And Thursday will be the last day of class. Very exciting.